We've got progress on the canal, we've got planning documents galore, and the start of some massive projects. I am on the Chesterfield Canal, and this is an unplanned visit. So I was staying in Derby. I'm here for the Northern Canals Association meeting, which was actually yesterday. It's a fantastic group that meet twice a year, and they're meeting here next year actually. They are basically a load of Northern Canals and Southern ones, because the Southern Canals Association is defunct, it doesn't exist. And it's just a great opportunity to speak to lots and lots of trusts and societies. As they all meet up, there's presentations and just lots of chance to talk to other canal societies and trusts about what they're doing and how they're doing it. And that's important for today's video, how we do things on canal restorations. Behind us here is Bauhaus Basin, and this was a gasworks here. There was a branch of the canal going through here with wharfs and stuff down through. The railway came, it was shortened to about here, just kind of on this sort of track here. And I came down the end of last year, well, probably, I think it's about September, October time, when the bridge was being put in just across there. It was the week after. And they had this all uncovered. It was York Archaeology, and they found all the walls and everything. I think they found a lot more than they were expecting. We've got some old boats over there, which were sunk when this was all filled in, and they're rotting away underneath there. They are the Chesterfield Canal boats. We can see here though, they've got a big old pile of coping stones. Some of them have got some quite good detail on actually. This one here is a particularly good one, look. And those ones, I think they're more railway era, so they were probably done when the repairs were done. But what we have, and I know is a potential, is for a big marina over in that land over there. Now that goes off towards, that's the puddle banks curving around here. You've got the River Doley Aqueduct just over there, and if you carry on going, you eventually get to Renishaw, and then on to Killarmarsh, and eventually to the tunnel, and then on to the actual restored section of the canal, which is CRT Waterway now. So the next kind of project down here is sort of moving clay. Now that puddle bank is built with big clay blocks, and I think they were stacked on top of each other, and then they cut the canal out of those blocks. That's sunk, much like the basin. That basin, despite all being there, because of mining subsidence, and there was a lot of mining around here, there it's actually lower. I can't remember how much it is, but it needs to come up a few feet, I think it is. And the actual puddle banks has done the same. It's sunk, and there's been various things that have happened to it. Farmers have cleared areas through it so they can get between their fields, and that needs building up. They had loads of clay donated to them, but it's not here, it's somewhere else. And that's kind of holding works up at the moment from here. And you may remember this fantastic bridge going in last year. Underneath here is going to be the Keith Ayling lock. It was once going to be called the Railway lock, because of HS2. HS2 is now not coming through here. There was meant to be a works, and it's the reason why this project has been held up for so long. That's all gone now, that's not needed, so they can kind of progress with the other projects here. So why am I here on this fantastic bridge when there's not really a lot happening here? There is some stuff which I'll cover in a second, but the main works hasn't started yet. Now this bridge was enabling works basically. This allowed the trust to do the work they want to down there and bring the canal through here. Without this, they couldn't have done that. There was a huge embankment across the side here, which allowed people to come off of what is the old abandoned railway, down a slope, and then back up through on the other side. And they needed to put the canal through the big embankment which was there, which is kind of right by where the lock's going to be. The lock's going to be just in this sort small section here. So this bridge is basically the catalyst for the restoration. Different canal societies and trusts do it different ways. If you take the Grantham, for example, they do it differently because they are CRT Waterway. They've got the advantage of the land is all owned by one landowner, and the CRT are generally supportive of canal restoration. They do agreements with you and stuff like that where you can work on the land. But they have their own procedures which can hold things up, and you've got a lot of boxes to tick whenever you need to do anything. And they've just released a new way of doing it where there's like a flow chart that you've got to follow to restore any project. Other canal trusts like the Lichfield Canal, they have a plan. So they have struggled in the past from losing funding, and they have got the funding before they've got the planning, before they've got the right to work. And now that's important because their philosophy is, first of all, get the right to work on the land, whether you own it or you've got documents in place saying you're allowed to restore it, or you've got leases, or whatever that is. And then you need to get planning. Once you've got planning, you go for funding. Because if you go for funding first, like they have on several major projects, you can risk losing that funding because a lot of them are time sensitive. And they're very successful, as we know, at these projects now because they've got that order in place to do these things. The Chesterfield Canal has a guy called George Rogers, and he's really good at what he does. He is brilliant at organising these big projects, and he's been quite a major reason why the Chesterfield Canal went from kind of slower progress since Keith Ayling. Keith Ayling was a massive part of the history of this trust and why things got restored in the past, which is why they're naming the lock after him. But after he passed away, it kind of slowed down a little bit. George Rogers seems to have changed that, and there's loads of momentum here now. But they have just released this. And this is a lot of paper, and it's not even all of it. And it's a massive vision document from the Chesterfield Canal Trust. Every area you've got broken down into sections, and then you look through it, and it's just plan after plan of all the areas that they want to work on. So this will enable wonderful things to happen, because although it's not planning documents, it is a vision, it's an idea of what they can do to make the canal sustainable and pay for itself, because CRT are not taking on new canal restorations, but they can use that document to go to funders and say, this is our vision, we want to do this, we want boat lifts, we want lock flights, we want visitor centres, we want cafes, we want all of this all along the route, and we want to restore the canal along this section. It also opens the areas up to potential development for housing. Now, one thing about this area is this was just a massive spaghetti junction over here of railways, and this is part of it. You had a railway there, you had a railway here. Over in that direction, the way we're walking, you had just, I don't even know how many lines it was. It was full of railway lines crisscrossing each other into a massive works. Staveley Works was a huge site which had sort of iron foundries on it, had collieries, it had everything on there, to chemical works which only closed, I don't know, 10-15 years ago. And that area, which is part of this document, is planned to be redeveloped. And it's perfect because there's so much brownfield land around here that although nature has taken over very quickly, it's still not a good habitat. So it's a perfect place to build on rather than building thousands of houses on the fields which are used for farming and nature. And these documents showcase how that land could be used. So I chose this site to start discussing this document because you know it really. We spent many a day here watching bridges go in, sometimes not going in, and that was a fun day, and various other things that we've done here. So it's a familiar site, and it's a good way to start a little series of videos which will go out over the next weeks and months on areas of the Chesterfield Canal that I've maybe not covered before, and how this document really sets out what can be done. So we're going to walk down now from the bridge down to Staveley Basin, where there is stuff going on now on the canal side. The Northern Canals Association meeting that's happening in Chesterfield, I think it's the second half of next year, so maybe September, October time. And they hope to have all of that done behind, ready to show off. They want to show off, don't they? Of course, you've got this impressive document. You need to show it on the ground as well. There is some serious envy in the canal world over this document. I think every canal trust and society is looking at it now and thinking, why didn't we do that? And that's good, because this is catalyst for change again from the Chesterfield Canal, which I think is going to see lots of trusts and societies producing these visions. And if they can produce these visions, they can sell it easier. It's better for everybody. So thank you to the Chesterfield Canal Trust for having the foresight to make this absolute visionary document and progressing canal restoration. So here we are, Staveley Basin, and this is part of the Staveley Town deal, which is quite a big grant. I think it's something like £8 million went to the Canal Trust to restore the canal and do various things here, but it's a much wider deal which covers sort of the town centre and various other things. Now this building in front of us, last time I came here, I think it was a steel frame. I think completion is due sort of end of March this year, which might be after this video goes out, but I wouldn't say they're on target. Now inside of there's going to be cafes, there's going to be office space and various other things. And the towpath on the plans is here, which isn't a great thing. People don't want to walk around the back of an industrial building. They want to walk along the towpath. Recent stuff that's come out has suggested that the canal towpath is actually now going to go by the canal, as it should do. And that's what people want to see. And if you've got a cafe in this building, you want people to walk past on a nice sunny day, not like today, and you want people to want to come in. And they're not going to want to come in looking at this, but they are going to want to come in when they see this. Isn't that much better than the back of the building? Now, this was again railway behind us. This was open cast mining here, I believe, as well as other things. So this has already been transformed from wasteland to quite a nice little spot on the canal. You're going to have mooring up in here. This is a small marina here in front of the building that's gone up. And on this side, there's plannings for housing and all sorts to go up through there. Staveley itself, like I said, has got a lot of development planned. There's a new road meant to be going in from a roundabout just over there and across to bypass the town, and then bypasses on the other side. Huge development on Brownfield's site as well, on the other side of town. And you'll see that in future videos on these updates, because that plays a massive part in how this canal is going to progress in the future. So as I said, this is an intro, so please keep an eye on future videos coming up about this project. There's going to be quite a few covering this massive document. Have a great day.